I'd like to call to order the Town of Carver Capital Outlay Committee. Today is February 26, 2025 at 7 p.m. exactly. So I would like to thank Area 58 for recording tonight. Should we start with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So seeing as we don't have anybody here tonight, we don't have any public comment, I believe. First of all, before we start, I just wanted to let everyone know I was made aware tonight that some of our minutes are not on the website for the town. We will get those up next week. I'll find out where the rest of them are. We still have minutes to approve as our committee for the FY26 budget. So on our next meeting next week, we will make sure that we approve those meeting minutes and we get them all up. Again, I apologize to anyone looking for the minutes. I was unaware that they weren't up on the town website, and we will make sure that they get up there. Okay. So on the agenda tonight, we were going to do town administrator and finance director update. Did you guys have any updates for capital?
I have, I provided a packet to all of the members. The first page are the FY26 project requests by department. You've seen these before. I have the funding source of how they're being funded, and then I have a summary of those projects in terms of how they're funded. If you have any questions, because we had some of the projects that were funded through ARPA, so I just wanted to make note of that. The second page are the FY25 capital requests, so this was an FY25 warrant, and I've met with all the departments just to get an updated status on where they are with the project, so you'll see the amount that was appropriated by town meeting and what's been expensed as of this year. You'll see a column for encumbered. What encumbered stands for is that there has been a commitment, and most likely a purchase order has been sent to the vendor, but an expense hasn't been made yet.
Okay.
On the next page are the FY24 ongoing projects. So this lists the projects for FY24 that are ongoing, and I have a list of those projects. And if you have any questions, I can add. You can. If you have any questions, you can ask. We have the town hall, roof, and library. We still have final invoices for those projects due to punch list items. I guess there were some, and John can probably talk, Dave will probably talk more on that when he comes to the meeting. And then the last page are the ongoing appropriations that were prior to FY24. And these are your FY16 to 24. These are ongoing, and if you have questions on these aren't all capital projects. I just wanted to mention that within the capital article in the past, you put in transfers. And so, or you put in money that should be going into a particular stabilization fund, a reserve fund. And because they're ongoing, you're still gonna see them on the sheet. If we wanna change those at some point and we want to move, they'll always be here, they'll always be available, but if you want to move them into a stabilization fund or a fund in terms of where they should just reside, so you have to see this on the report every year, we would have to do that from town meeting. It would just be an article stating to move funds that were appropriated in the capital fund into these different reserve funds. So for the FY26 budget, it's not capital, but we have a similar situation where we have to create a stabilization fund and then move money that was originally appropriated in the operating budget into the reserve fund. So, but for FY25, we made sure that all the capital projects in the article are actual capital projects, and all of our transfers are in the appropriate article.
So just out of curiosity,
Yes.
so the two top benefit ones
Yes,
are not capital projects, right?
they're not capital projects.
Elections, fire, IT, O&M, are those all?
Those are all capital projects. So the
Yeah.
unemployment is not a capital project, but it was in the capital article. And I didn't want to take it out because it was there. The health insurance was in a capital article, and so I had to keep it within the capital fund. I didn't want to take it out and confuse people. And then the replacing the election the tabulators, that's still ongoing. And I know that Kara's looking at getting, moving that project forward.
Which year you in?
21.
I'm in the prior year open appropriations FY 16 to 23, and it's the third item down.
Got it.
It says ATM replace election tabulator.
But that sounds like a capital project.
Yeah, so
That is a
That
capital
was-
project. So the only two that aren't capital projects are the first two.
Okay, can we go back to the first two for a second? Is that, I thought we talked way back when about, rather than making these things ATM articles, making an unemployment reserve, a health insurance reserve. Am I getting that wrong? So that we'll just fund it every year?
Yes, so
based
we
on
can
the
have
funding?
it. So so in the past, it's actually been in the operating budget.
Yep.
But we can set up we pay unemployment every year, so we could set up an unemployment reserve.
Can I just ask?
Yes.
Since they were started in 2017, 16, have we ever touched them?
We haven't spent anything out of the health insurance. I'll have to check unemployment
Okay.
and see if that, see what the original amount was. I'm
Sure.
assuming it wasn't
Yeah. I'm sure it
54,
didn't have
244.98,
pennies,
yes.
that has to go to town hall, though, right? To get this out of here?
Yes, to get it, to move it out, it would go to
Could we do it this
town
year,
hall.
or is it too late?
No, it's not too late. We haven't finished doing the articles, but we should really, for unemployment, we pay for that out of the operating budget. I know that in last year's warrant, we had it, as a transfer to unemployment reserve, but it really it's been in the operating budget for years. And so we pay for it out of the operating budget, so I think that we should still have it in the budget, but if we want to put additional money into unemployment reserve, then we can do that, but you need to make sure there's an account set up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we'd have an article setting up the stabilization fund, and then an article transferring money into that particular fund.
Okay.
Makes sense.
It just, if I go down the list, right, I come to select board, 2016, human resources training and
Yes.
startup. I mean, that sounds like something that should be closed out, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know that Elaine was looking at using some of that money for training, but that's something, it's up to you.
Okay.
Still
Yeah.
doesn't belong in here.
Yeah, it's up to
We
you.
think-
But we still have an overriding thing about items that were requested in the 2015 town budget should have been spent by 16, in theory.
Yes.
That should not be on there for almost 10 years.
Right.
Yep,
So
needs
I
to
would
go.
say, I don't,
Yeah.
really doesn't
I-
matter what we could use it for, it should be gone, it should be
Yes.
taken back
Yeah.
in. And then she should go back and reappropriate based on whatever she wants to do.
Yep, that's fine. So we just completed closing out FY 24, balance.
Could
this-
we-
Yes.
Well, let's stay on this one, because
Yeah.
this one's got a lot
Okay.
of meat in it.
Could we get, a list of what was actually spent out of here? Was it a capital item?
This was a capital item. All of the items here were capital items.
Okay.
They just were in the capital article. They might
Could-
not have been capital projects, but they were capital items in the balance. The balance in these accounts will roll forward each year.
Yeah. Could we find out how much this was for originally in
Oh, sure.
2016
Yeah,
and what
absolutely.
we purchased?
Yes, I can get that.
All right, so I guess I'm throwing you off, but you were back on tabulators.
Yes.
So in 2020, for the 21 town budget, we asked for tabulators. It's now been 5 years. Why don't we have them?
I would have to ask, I'd have to get an update from Kara. I don't know, some of it had to do with COVID, and then some things happened with,
Yeah.
there were different things that happened within the office that didn't allow her to get it at the time. I don't know if they were out of stock or the inventory, but I'd have to find out from her.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see a write-up,
Okay.
explanation, if that makes sense. And then I've got, in the 2022 for the 2023 town meeting, or is it police and fire radio infrastructure? So we don't know what the original number was, to your point.
It was like over 300. I remember that one being like over 300,000.
I can get the original numbers for you, that's
Okay.
easy to pull.
Why would that still be ongoing?
No.
That's because the projects are open, and it's up to you. If there's something
Okay.
you wanna close.
So we could close that
You
out.
can just close them, and then you can ask the departments to resubmit their request.
Yeah, that's just
in
cleaner
FY26.
that
So
way.
it's up to you what you wanna do.
Okay.
And these IT ones as well.
Well, we're gonna go through that, cause John does
Right.
have an explanation of
Okay.
some ongoing projects that he's working on right now.
Okay, but I need to go back. No offense to you
Yeah.
whatsoever.
You just showed up.
Right? But town meeting, townwide tech upgrades. I pulled the 2018 town warrant. on it, somebody came to the town and said, we want $199,000. I'm assuming at the time, there should have been background that said, it's interesting how it's not 200, it's 199, but there would have been support behind that saying, this is what I'm spending it for. Have you ever seen that? Do you have that? Any ideas?
No idea what it was used for or what. I mean, townwide,
Okay.
that encumbers the schools and the town.
Okay, so would
And
have
I
been.
can say that, as far as like the town goes, it's like townwide, we're a little behind the 8 ball. We're not crazy, but we're still, things need to be caught up. And this could be a reason why that some of these funds are still here. They were meant to be spent and, to upgrade equipment, and they just were never spent.
But that would have been a.
But that's all speculation on my, as far as that money goes.
But the person that should not have the speculation is, who was, you weren't, when did you come on board?
23,
Yeah.
20,
So
well,
this is-
actually 24
So,
was
was
my
it-
first budget.
Who's
so-
the King IT guy before?
Sean Mahoney?
Well, that would be in the
Steve Mahoney?
schools.
Who's that?
Stephen Mahoney.
Yeah.
So Steve
For the school.
Mahoney should be able to tell us, I asked for $199,000 for school and townwide.
I would hope so.
So I would like someone to reach out to him and find out what that was. if we
Yeah,
could.
I didn't get a chance to speak to him. I did speak to Scott Neef.
What is his name?
Stephen Mahoney.
Steve Mahoney.
Steve Mahoney?
Scott just talked
Is he still
about
working?
more of the town side and the school side, so I don't know how they really separated it out. He thought on the school side, they had spent all their funding. So again, if there was a request for 199, we'd have to dig into it more, John,
Yeah.
Somebody spent what, $70,000?
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah, we have to find out
It's
the
a fraction.
what the original amounts were. I haven't seen, one thing, I can look at see if I have some documents going back from other capital committees, but haven't seen a lot of backup in terms of a detail report. Like, John has provided a detail report on what his needs are and what he's spending it on. I haven't seen a list like that, but I can check to see if I see anything in my files that shows a list of why they were requesting a certain amount of money to back up their, to back up what they're requesting. I'll see if I can see anything.
Okay, so, I think we should reach out and get the 199 back up from him. I think that, my preference would be, whatever your list is for IT, that we go to town meeting, we ask for it, versus grabbing this old balance that was really not probably meant for the items. I don't know, if there's a list that says there's 15 items on it, as you said, they only did 5 and the other 10 are there, that's a different story. But,
Okay, here we
but-
go, I found it online. So from the January 23rd, 2018 Capital Outlay Committee, it said, technology upgrades projected at 199. Scott gave examples, including having a school Chromebook for one more grade and an LCD projector being replaced in a classroom.
That's what he was requesting this year too, so.
So that's what it was, that's what that 199 was for in 2018.
But I think that's just probably the school side, but there's probably a lot more than.
Yeah, so
I don't-
there
I
were,
don't know.
Yeah, see that?
these are just
Well-
the balances that are remaining, but there were other projects that were for the town and the school for
Could be
IT that were
199.
actually spent. So a lot of the school's IT appropriations were spent.
Right.
But then a lot of the town IT appropriations, and some of the articles, when I was looking at the warrant, had a combination, town and school-wide technology. And so then the school might have been satisfied with what their needs were, but the appropriation still stayed open because the town had additional needs. So you see a lot of that in the warrant articles where it says town and school-wide, so
Yeah.
it could be used for both.
Okay, so we're gonna ask for support for the 199, we're gonna see what was spent against the 199 to see if the items left over still need to be done, or the items you're saying that were behind in that need to get done.
Yeah, I think we should hear from John, because John has concerns about
The money.
not so much the money, the equipment that we have now and what we need to upgrade.
Did
So
you wanna
at
go
some
into that
point,
now or later, in the meeting?
It's up to Beth.
It-
You wanna
Do we,
John
you wanna
now?
go
We
through
should
this?
probably just go
Yeah,
through
let's
this.
just finish
Yeah, let's
this.
finish going this first.
Sorry, I'm not trying to monopolize the meeting, yeah.
No, it's okay.
Ceiling tiles for the school, 2019.
Yeah.
Sorry, did we go over,
Yeah, there's an O and M, which Dave
Yes.
Seatonhouse coming in, so we could also ask him about that.
we went over the townwide infrared equipment and infrastructure and equipment, $49,000. That goes back to 2023. It's been going on 3 years. Anybody know anything about that? Is that, that's an IT? So that's another one. So it's
Again, I think
100,
that's the same thing, you know,
Yeah.
there's a
so
school side.
170,000.
Yeah, so, right, so the school, so I spent their money, but the town side, we just lagged
That's
behind.
correct. I mean, if you want a clean slate, like you were saying, John, you could always say, you know, I'm gonna close these articles, and if people still need the funding, for these capital
Yeah.
projects, then we include it in your capital FY 26 request, and we get the free cash, certifications, and you can then put that money in as an FY 26 request with the backup of all the items, because I'm assuming that in 2018, 8 years ago, there are probably IT needs probably were totally different, and I don't even think you can compare the two because technology has changed so much. So I think that might be a valid idea in terms of doing to clean things up, and then you don't have to. And the same thing with the 2 articles at the top. Let's get them into stabilization funds, and then they're just there. And then if we need to use the funding at some point, then it would be we would have to be a request of the town meeting to transfer money to cover a particular budget.
Okay.
Okay. And the next item is maintenance and operating supplies. That's really not capital from what I can see, as what was done back then. But in theory, in 21, we're now 4 years later, that should be gone.
Yeah, again, I would say that's not a capital one, right?
No. My recollection a few years ago when I first started to help with the capital, they used to have
They
funds
allowed-
like that where they would say, well, that's really gonna be a improvement to a capital item,
Yeah.
and they were doing that, and we had stopped it that year. I have a feeling this is lingering.
Yeah, that's more of an operating expense.
Yeah.
It should be in your operating budget.
All right, 2019, sailing tiles, middle high school, how can that not be done?
And David
that-
can speak on that.
Okay?
Okay.
We already talked about human resources training startup, we're gonna close that out.
Isn't the town hall exterior siding and trim already completed?
We
That
had some
should be on.
conversations about that
I feel like that was
recently.
done last year, right?
But $1,200 isn't gonna do anything.
Right?
Right now,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
you're gonna
so,
get much
I
of
mean,
a
these are
these
just-
days.
yeah. So that could be
Very
closed.
few tiles there.
Perpetual care,
I didn't
balance,
notice that one.
rollover, operating AT, I don't know what that means. So
Balance
this-
rule.
Is this a,
Oh, that's just my notes. Those
Oh.
are my
Okay.
notes, but this is for perpetual care, cemetery. This is for something for cemetery, for O&M.
Yeah, but that was
Ask
20.
Adam.
That would be
Article.
operating, right?
It does sound like.
That's my
operating.
note, that's my notes.
Okay.
I'll have to just look at that. I should
Come
have
on
taken
in,
that off,
sir.
but that was my
Yeah.
notes.
Oh, actually, you want to jump right back into it? We got a couple.
We were just talking about some of these.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have some questions for you.
Okay.
Karen, do you have another one of these?
Yes, I do.
So Dave, just to catch you up,
Yep.
when Karen gives you the packet, we're going through some of the old capital project balances that are remaining.
Okay.
So from O&M standpoint, I guess it's the, in 2020, for the 2021 annual town meeting, a number was requested, because I think there was a beginning number, and then this is more like a rollover balance. So it looks like we got $64,000 left, and the question is, why would we have something there 5 years later?
So I think that, and we've had many conversations on that, myself, my secretary, and Karen, then going back to previous financial directors, the way, there's 2 lines we use for what we'll call combined services for field operating, for maintenance and operating supplies. And that was a leftover balance just that never got used, obviously, because it was a balance. We can use it for field upgrades. It just hasn't been touched because there is another line that we use for that
In your budget or in your budget?
in my
Yeah.
budget, yes.
So kind of what we're talking about, Dave, is these things aren't meant to stay open forever.
Correct.
In fact, this really isn't somewhat a capital item as is a maintenance. So it should be closed out and then put into operating budget. Like you said, that other line you have in the operating budget, and fund it through that.
Yep.
And to be honest, I think before, when this was set up in 2024, 21, I don't think we had really stated that at that time, that we weren't gonna use these funds. I think that was
Yep.
more like the last 2 years that we started to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Fund us moving forward.
The next one says school, but it says ceiling tile, oh, sorry, you get something else?
No, same
Oh.
thing.
That's right.
Yeah, that-
Yep, so ceiling tiles is under, I oversee that.
This was a
We've-
19 request.
Yep, and it's been kind of one of those when my maintenance guy can get to it, two of them, and replace ceiling tiles throughout the school, they're doing that. And that was funded right after we put the new roof on because there was so many stained ceiling tiles. He has completed the second floor and they moved on to the first floor, so it's a project I can readdress with them and say they'd like to close this out. Let's finish up.
Yeah, but again, that falls under, it's not really capital, it's maintenance,
It is.
and should be the maintenance budget.
Okay.
So, all right. What else we got? That was just for IT, and for O&M.
Well, how about
I have a question.
How about the cemetery kit?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Well, even the buildings too, right? Yes.
Exterior.
Oh.
We were gonna just close it.
Assuming you're talking about you don't need it.
Was that?
The 1,200 for
Yeah, I assume
exterior
that's all
siding
done,
and
yeah.
trim.
Yep, no, that can go back.
Okay.
Good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You know, for some of these things that we're closing out, so we have the 64,000 field maintenance, operating supplies, and the tiles. How soon, do we have contracts with any vendors?
No.
That will be paying for this? And how soon would you need to, pay for this to have these things done? Because we've already put together the FY '26 budget, balanced based
Right,
off
so-
of what we have for funding. So what won't get done if you're not able to move forward with these and there's no additional funding?
All right, so if there's no additional funding in the 20s, let's pick the ceiling tiles. If the $22,916 goes away, then that project closes out. I think he probably has a limited stock of ceiling tiles left. So if that money goes away, then that project ceases.
Okay, and then for the field maintenance and operating supplies, and I know this budget is technically used to help supplement your operating over the years. How
Right.
is this gonna affect your operating budget if you're not able to
That was
use any
actually
of the money?
placed, I have money in my operating budget now, so that could go away.
Okay.
And not affect me. I'm not
Okay.
tied to any contracts on either one of those.
Okay,
Do you think we have enough tiles already to cover you?
No, we do not.
I'm nervous about
Yeah,
that
should we
because
leave it
we just
open
had
for a year? I
we
know.
had a leak the other day in the gym.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's left open for a year,
Yeah.
I can do a survey, figure out what I need, probably purchase the tiles, and then,
I feel better about that.
The only
would
thing
too.
though, is a tile really a capital project?
No, it's all maintenance.
It's not,
It's
It-
not capital.
It should be in the maintenance budget for the school.
yeah.
Understood.
so that's something we can have a conversation with the school
Sure.
department if they can.
I mean, I
add,
want
if
the
they
school to
enough
have the
money
tiles, I'm just
cover
thinking, are we paying out of the right
22 to
fund?
cover
right,
that.
sure.
Should we
Yep.
get this over to your operating
Yep.
fund? So Karen, if, I just wanna throw this out there, let's just say we decide these are not really capital funds, it's really an operating, and we close them out, could it come back to them in their FY '26 operating budget?
No, it cannot,
It cannot.
because we've already balanced the budget, we don't have any additional revenue, we don't use free cash to cover the operating
Okay.
budget, so because of that, we would not be able to fund it.
So
We
would
would have
next
to-
year
I mean, we'd have to
free
cut
cash?
Yeah.
other things.
Okay,
But if we don't do
But when you
something
close
with
it
it
out-
now, then next year we're gonna be having the same
We
conversation.
had these conversations last year.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I mean, like, if we don't
Right.
address it
Agreed.
now, we're gonna be doing the same thing next year.
I guess what I'm wondering is, you close it out, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna have to come back around somehow, right?
Goes back in free
through-
cash.
Yeah,
Comes
free
back in
cash
free cash,
for
but
next year.
it's not gonna be allowed to use
No,
in
it's
the
not transferred.
operating budget.
27.
No, unless we have, so no, it hits free cash.
Yeah.
Free cash is not used to fund the operating budget, so if we need to add 64,000, or if we need to add additional money to the operating budget, that we're gonna need to make sure we have the revenue to
Okay.
cover those additional changes, whereas the money is already here, it's already been designated out of our undesignated, this is not even included in our free cash. It's already been set aside within our balance sheets, that's why it's
Yeah.
still available, so that's up to you.
So,
And then the cemetery was another thing we wanted to discuss.
yep. What do you get for that cemetery?
Yeah, the cemetery?
So the cemetery is in, I have $20,000 in my operating budget, so I don't know, this was 2024 perpetual.
Let me double check that, because
Okay.
it says 20, I just wanna make sure that 2024 is correct. I need to just double check that.
Okay.
01,
All right. So then we go into the 24s, which I like what I'm seeing. It's money being spent, that means things are getting done.
Go back a page.
So I have another sheet, and I didn't pass it out because I was looking at, but I have another sheet
Like
for FY
one
24.
page before that one.
If you would like to see it. It shows, the budget, but it shows what's been completed, what wasn't used, and for FY 24, because everything is in a capital fund, before it was in the operating, it's just going to stay open until you say, let's close these, I close it out of the capital, and the money goes into the general fund. But there were projects for FY 24 I didn't close out this year. I didn't close them out. So we have about $230,000, and you don't see that on your sheet because I only showed what's ongoing. But for items that we're not spending any more money, the project is complete.
You know those. You know you can take those back. Any
Yes,
leftover
we're
balance.
gonna close those out. So, but I can, if you wanna see that, you're gonna
Yeah.
see for not this fiscal year, cause I already closed out 24, but in 25, you're gonna see $230,000 of FY 24 projects closed. And then that will then go back to free cash, but I'll sit down with the capital committee at the end of the year, next year, and I'll say, okay, these are all the these are all of the projects, the capital projects that were completed, they didn't use up money, this is what's gonna go back into free cash for your use to be able to allocate to other projects.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you like that sheet, I can show you, so you can take a look
Yeah.
and see what has been closed, what's completed, what wasn't used. But these are not expendable funds, so departments aren't able to just go in and just use to spend them.
Is there one for everybody or should we
Yes.
do the fund?
Oh, I have
Okay.
one, no, I
Okay.
have to share it. Would you like to?
Oh, she's so familiar.
Yeah, I know.
I saw Skagmo, I knew right away what that one was.
So which ones are the ones that you're recommending closing?
So
Or you haven't
they're,
closed
they're,
yet?
so they're completed, so the top, so anything,
And it
when you
says
look, it says
completed.
status, it says closing or completed, those are all funds that are done.
So if it's
Well-
completed on this one, it's not on this one, right? It's
That's
completed on
correct,
this one.
yes.
Well, this is only ongoing,
That's just
right?
only ongoing, so I have a sort, and so I
Good.
provided you what was ongoing, but I
Okay.
brought this just in case you
Sure.
wanted to see
I like that.
the different projects
Yep.
that have been completed, or there's balance of available that we're not using. Departments aren't able, they won't see them moving forward into FY 25, and then just, so they will just stay open, they're in a total capital fund, and so I'll be closing those out, so next year you'll see those closed out, and we'll have a meeting to talk about, what's gonna stay closed, if there's ongoing projects, if we have, contracts, or if it's been committed, then obviously those will stay open.
Okay, so going, I guess, if we're all set to go
Yeah,
into
go ahead.
24, we've got, again, townwide tech upgrades. We got $15,000 left over from 24.
Yes. And I have, and John, I know has, at the back of your packet, John's gonna be talking about the projects that he has moving forward for the town, and I'm not gonna
Okay.
steal his
Yep.
spotlight.
Thunder.
Yeah, thunder, yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Feel free.
I'm gonna steal your thunder.
No, no,
I'm
no.
gonna stop talking.
Can I ask about the sealing the parking lot at the school? Is that project coming, because it's $15,000 left?
So what I've been doing in that is, probably after this winter, there'll be an area, I had gotten a price a few years ago to redo the entire middle high school parking lot of over $1 million.
Right.
And that was just for asphalt.
Right.
That parking, that whole area, campus has no drainage.
Right.
There are areas we have issues. I actually did a project last summer within my department that helped alleviate one large area we had, but it would not be prudent to do that whole area with, and I couldn't see putting that money into that parking lot. So what I'm doing with that money is, anywhere it's starting to get real bad, what they call alligator skin, where it's breaking up in small pieces, I'll come in and have a company redo sections of it. And I think that's just the way to go with that. I can't see investing large capital money into that parking lot.
Again, but the capital project was done, that's now maintenance, if you're just gonna go and fix it all up. So, and it's from 23, which was the 24 fiscal budget, now we're going into 26. So
Yep.
really, what you're using that for is maintenance.
It's, I mean,
It's a use, but really it's not.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
So I go back to the top of six basketball courts from 2023 to 2024 town meeting.
Yep.
Why nothing
So
spent?
that has, we had a company come out and look at it. We were hoping to do the tennis and the exterior basketball court. There wasn't enough money, but the tennis court does need work. Looked at doing it last year, couldn't get anybody in to do it last year. They were already booked out a year. So we're hoping
Okay.
to get it on the dockets for this year.
Can we go back to the parking lot, because I
Mhm.
see that for fiscal year '25, we did $10,000 of parking lot repairs.
Yep.
So we have it for '25 and for '24, where they're ongoing.
Yep, I believe Ron had put in under the schools just a allotment of money every year, figuring
Okay,
there was always
okay.
going to be
But that's
repairs.
maintenance.
and-
It's not capital.
Yeah, I think that's a past practice that we need to change.
It's all,
Yeah.
And I think we should also make sure that, I mean, for capital projects, sometimes capital projects may span for 2 years. And
Easily,
A lot
easily.
of it because you might have punch list items, or they might be some type of delay.
Right.
But I think that, you know, as we move forward and we talk with the departments, that we find out, okay, these are your requests, but what is the spending time frame? Is this project a year project? Is it a 2-year project? How long is it gonna take to be completed? And then evaluate. Sometimes you may have a project that's 2 years, you might not need all the money the first year.
yeah, and I believe I wish I had it on me, but we redid the bylaw. I'll bring it next week, so that we could talk about, we weren't gonna include maintenance anymore. These were just gonna be capital projects, and that maintenance was gonna, go to operating.
That's correct.
Some of these are before that bylaw was
Yeah.
done, though.
Yeah, because capital technically is for capital projects. 'Cause
Exactly.
what happens is that as we have the capital projects, this allows us to fill out our fixed assets, for our, just for our financial statements, and fixed assets can only come from capital projects, not from maintenance.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
So going back to the 24 bulletproof vests, it says ongoing with $1,500 left in the account. Is that really ongoing? Is that closed?
There is something the chief, there was something with the bulletproof vest that he was waiting for,
Okay.
but I spoke to him, he said that he will be spending that money, I believe, in the spring.
Okay.
I'd like, anything that someone's got a balance for, can they, the department head, whatever, write up specifically why they didn't spend it and what they need for now?
Yes.
Versus just, because it's, all we see is ongoing.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and when I give the status, I can give a more detailed status that will state why it wasn't spent and what the plans are
Yeah.
moving forward.
Maybe like an end date,
Okay,
give everybody
yes.
an end date.
Yeah, but that's hard, like for David, I can tell you right now, we've been watching the pickleball court be
Yeah.
built, and you're at the mercy of the contractor.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
honestly,
No, we get
and I hate to say it, but I don't even know what the cost of the pickleball court is, but it's
But I think,
it's kinda like it's not a lot of money to them, I can tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
As though it's, even though it's $200,000,
I think it'd be realistic, it's different. Someone's going before a town meeting to say, I need some money. So you should do the due diligence, what do you need, how much? And if you can only spend a certain amount in a year, that's what your plan should be. But you plan it out and you have your project. Then you go to town meeting, you get it approved. Now, then the clock should start ticking on ordering it. Now, we know that buses can take 2 years, police cars a year. Certain things
Fire
take
engine
time.
4.
Right.
Yeah. If things are gonna take multiple years. And I'm not trying to pick on computers, but I'm thinking that a computer, you have your specs, you know what you need. Maybe it's 2 years, but that should be it. You order it 1 year, you get the next, is my thought process. These things that they lasted 5 or 6 years, I don't understand the mentality. So there'll definitely be longer lives and reasons why you can't do it in a year, definitely. But this just seems to be this past practice of letting balances roll until I need them, just doesn't make sense. All right, so now we got one that is the elementary school curriculum update. It was asked for in '23 for the '24 town meeting, and it still has $22,000 left over, and it's still ongoing. So it's
We have
probably
an-
a question for
We have a
them.
budget line now.
So you don't need this?
I'm not gonna say we don't need them. I don't know if they're in the middle of purchasing something, because I'm not the one purchasing.
I can find out from
But
Ron,
there
he
is a
usually
budget
gives
line.
me like a detailed explanation for these, so I can
Yep.
follow up with him.
I guess minibus must be over. Ongoing, $2,000 pending back order components, all right? And again, buses can take 2 years, so that's within, I think,
Yeah,
a
there's one
timeframe.
component that he's waiting for, so it's already been ordered, it's just backordered.
Okay.
The roof is, what?
So the architectural engineering, that should be about expended. I'm surprised he hasn't invoiced me for the final. But I had a contract for just under 50,000, so that'll be spent shortly.
Yes.
I'll get him to invoice me and close that out. The two roofs, 95% of that project is done. They have wrecked one invoice, waiting to, we're going back and forth on a change order, and then the skylights are to be done, which is probably another, depends on which route we go, $40,000, possibly. But the contract for that, so expended, let's see, what do we have, 190 and 275? Yeah, so that's what's been spent between both roofs right now.
Sorry, last person. I read this, maybe I'm reading it wrong, is that 190's been spent, I got 59 left over, but I only need 195 of it?
Nope, so we have on the, because they broke it out, so let's see. The town hall roof is 190. The library roof is 276, correct? Am I reading that right?
That's
Yeah.
been spent.
That's been spent.
Which
So
was spent
those,
in FY
yes,
24.
those balances are, those were from the original numbers, which were ended up being very high.
Yeah, so they were spent, yep.
So there's probably only, there's probably only gonna be, I'd say, in that project at most $100,000 spent more.
So I guess my point is, there's money does this get given back to the town even though it was done through a loan, or what does this
So what
happen?
happens is that the amount of money that we bonded
Yeah.
was for this project includes finishing up the project. So this is just the balance of what we bonded. If we, and then the rest of that issue, because we issued the 1.68 and we're going to be rescinding the balance of what was not bonded. But the amount that was bonded covers the project, but not everything has been spent because you had punch list items. We were waiting for the skylights to be done, so not the entire invoices for this project have not been spent.
Okay.
And so I'm not saying that we're spending the 359 for 573. I can give the total amount that was bonded to cover this project, and then nothing will be spent after that.
And then we rescind the bonding,
That
right?
we rescind the original
So you're reducing
authorization.
debt, not giving money back?
That's correct.
Got it.
Okay.
And it'll be significantly less than what the bond was.
Yeah, it was around like
Okay.
$1 million, close to $1 million. that
We're probably gonna be in all
that
in
we're
on
not
this
gonna have to bond.
Wow.
project around half of that,
Nice.
or less than
Yes.
half.
Oh, wow, okay.
The entire project's probably gonna be around 600,000 would be my thought.
Yeah, and that's what we
Okay.
ended up bonding.
Okay.
Okay.
How
So-
about the library I'm sorry,
No, it's great. I was just,
the library painting?
We didn't need that money, so
We paid for it from a different account,
that
right?
from
Correct.
library, yes.
So
Okay.
that just goes back to free cash, is that it?
No, that's part of the authorization that we're rescinding.
Oh, it
So
is.
part of the authorization of the
library
1.6,
okay.
we're rescinding that because 60,000 for painting,
that was-
we were able to, so originally the
It's
whole
on the sheet.
authorization was a
Next one,
550.
oh, the next one.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, where's the library painting?
Yeah.
It's on the big
So
sheet.
if you look
The
on
one that Karen just
So
passed out, it's
fiscal
like a
year-
separate
This
sheet.
thing.
Yeah.
fiscal year
It's at the bottom.
2024 capital projects, we had an authorization of 1.6, which consisted of 550 for town hall roof, the last three on this report, 850 for the library roof, and 235 adding up to the 1.6. The bids came in significantly less. Because we already had an article for library painting for 60,000, we were able to use that without having to use the 235, so we didn't have to issue debt for the 235. And the project came in significantly under.
So am I hearing that on that 235, there's no cash coming back and no debt being reduced, you did borrow it?
We didn't borrow it.
Okay.
So on the books, like on your general ledger,
Yes,
you're gonna have to release this, so what's the offset? Right, you're not gonna keep a placeholder
no,
on the
this will,
balance sheet
this,
for the
no, this gets
235?
closed out. It just gets closed out.
Okay,
And the only thing that we have is gonna show what's been expensed for the project, and then anything else gets closed out, and then because we did an authorization
Okay.
for our debt service, that gets rescinded. So, and that's an article in the FY 26 budget. The reason why we rescind what hasn't been authorized, because if town meeting authorizes you to spend money, you can spend it. And if it's for a certain category, you don't have to go back for an appropriation. So this allows us to make sure that, we'll say if a new town administrator, new select board, people come in and say, hey, we have this authorization, let's spend this. So there were other authorizations that we had in the past that we're kind of closing the books on, and just making sure that, you know, if we've authorized it, we finish the project, then we just close out the books.
Okay.
So we have a few capital articles from prior year authorizations that there were balances that we're closing those out.
Okay.
Okay. Are we on 25 now?
Yes,
Back to the
Spending, and again, we're hitting town computers and technology. We have $33,000 that was approved but nothing spent.
and John's gonna go through this, so
We'll
he
do it
has a
separately.
whole,
Yeah.
he has a
Then
whole
separately,
presentation.
Dave, I ask about this every single year.
Yep.
And I think I can recite it, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. Part of the Green Communities Act, because of that, we have to use energy efficiency units. You've got this $100,000 to replace wattage in the school bulbs, I should say.
Yep, so when they are actually working right now, second shift, they're doing at the middle high school. I spoke to the contractor, so the work they're doing right now is through a DOER grant.
And has the town stuff already been done? This is all school stuff going forward?
No, there's still, town stuff to be done, weatherization projects that I'm working with DOER right
Okay.
now, they're doing weatherization projects. Those are smaller projects, no big ticket items, and they're 100% funded by DOER, as is the lighting that's going on right now. My plan is the only thing left in the middle high school to do is common areas and offices. That $100,000, he's working on getting the estimates for the remaining lighting to be done. That may cover what needs to be done from FY '25. Now I have an FY '26 request in,
Oh, yeah.
not really realizing we were that far along. We may be able to reduce that.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the DEOR grant through the school department,
It's through the town.
how much is the grant for?
I don't,
Do we get it annually?
we put in for it annually.
Your
I've been putting
office or
in-
the school department?
It's actually through the town planner.
I wanna look at that because I like to know like the grant code number. I like to see a copy of the grant, because if we have a grant that's covering this work, because if you go back the last 4 or 5 years, this 100,000 hasn't been spent. So I'm wondering if it's being paid for out of a different fund.
Well, that happened previously,
Yeah. Yes,
you
it did.
discovered.
Yeah.
Because I
Yes.
had some $100,000 balances going forward,
Yeah.
and it was being paid out of the wrong account.
So I wanna make sure that moving forward, that we should probably just have a conversation and make sure that some of these capital projects, that we're funding it out of the proper account, and if we have made any expenses this fiscal year, we do a journal entry moving it out of this money, if it should be coming out of that. And then I wanna look and see where it's been funded from.
Yep.
Okay.
Dave, can you just talk about that? So I vaguely remember when we decided to become the green community. And we had a presentation on, if you become the green community, it's almost like getting the money back because you can apply for more grants.
It's ongoing, and we're getting near the end of our limit now. If we
Okay.
haven't met our goals, moving forward, they will no longer fund
Yes.
any projects.
Okay,
So,
because that's sort of what I thought. I always thought we put this 100 in here.
yeah,
It funded the projects, but at the same time, we were getting grant money back.
correct.
Oh, so this is
And-
green,
Yeah.
is this the green community grant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know all about that. So we
Okay.
do have money coming. I wanna take a deeper dive
Okay.
into the community grant and look and see what was on the community grant application.
Okay.
And what they said they were gonna fund based off expenses,
Mm-hmm.
because if $100,000 in there is, you know, to help reduce consumption and it's covered for the
kinda
grant, then we shouldn't
Told us, right?
be moving
In the
any
meeting.
money.
Yeah.
Did they kind of give you like, you have this many residents, and so this is the amount you should be using?
Right, we had a target number, and part of what I was given direction from DOER is, you have to apply for the grant every year, and they also would look favorable for matching funds. And that was my reason for putting in the
That was for the
100,000
matching
every
funds? Yeah.
year.
Okay.
So they'd say, all right, they're not just looking for a free handout, they're seriously doing these projects, and they're kind of, it's a matching
But we
Yeah.
should, when we get matching funds, we usually spend the matching funds.
So I've spent the 100,000 up until I've been using, there's still 100,000 from FY '25, which will be used, I'm hoping to get them to finish the lighting at the middle high school. And pretty much at that point, a lot of, I won't be putting in for that. And like I said, right now I have 100,000 in
Yeah,
for that in FY '26.
yes.
That can be reduced, and possibly, once he gets me those numbers in a week or two, it may even be able to go away,
Okay.
Oh,
or I
okay.
use somewhere
Okay.
else.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
He's
can I-
working on those numbers for me.
Okay.
Can I also mention also with the repair of the coating of the parking lot, because you have it, you're asking for 200,000 for 26.
That's for the COA.
That's
The
COA.
COA.
Yeah.
Oh, COA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And the beach.
Yeah.
So, Dave, so I wanna say on here, I have to find it again, in '23, there was the $100,000, is it '23?
Each year, yes.
That wasn't expended at all.
Well, it
So you
was.
think
I think it
just give
was.
us-
No, it was. What happened, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but I'll just say it wasn't me. It was paid for out of the wrong account.
Yes.
Oh.
So the money was spent, but it was paid for.
I
out of the
believe
wrong
it was
account.
paid for out of solar.
Solar net metering.
Yeah.
Was that a capital account or a budget, or
No,
operating?
that's like a revolving.
That was a bad
account.
journal entry, I think.
That was just having the wrong budget code when you're paying the bills.
So what does
Okay.
that mean for, does it stay there and just move on, or do you have to
Yeah,
fix
it just stays
that?
there, no, it doesn't.
Oh.
Okay.
Well then.
Right, does anyone have any other questions on these older balances?
No, other than, again, I think that if people, whatever ones we marked off, these are question marks, that people should just say, explain what, why funds weren't spent and what they needed for. And I guess, should we have something in, I know you do a lot of work on those capital requests that say, is it a capital item, is it not?
Yes.
And here are the budget budgeted breakdowns, what you have, but is there a anticipated spend by date? Maybe in the future, like
We
whatever
do,
they
we
say.
have, there's a date range on the request, and we also have a line for operating costs. So as we take on these new capital projects, it's gonna increase our operating expenses, so I believe that there is a line in there for that. But I think, moving forward, when we have our capital kickoff meeting, and I'll probably have that this summer, probably earlier than the fall as we did last year. I mean, I can have it with the whole committee if you like, and we can really talk about, the prior year capital requests, what we're doing moving forward, the amount of time that departments would have to spend the money, whether it's 1 year or 2 years, and to be able to come with, and I mentioned this to the department heads, with a cash flow, understanding like, when do you think you're gonna spend the money?
We would love to.
Sorry, I have a question, because it just occurred to me. So the school is asking for 120,000 for the library this year, and I noticed on 24 of your closeout completed sheet, you've got library painting for town buildings. Can the school fall into that and use this? You've got $235,000.
No, they cannot use that at all.
That's what I was-
That was part of the authorization strictly for the town and library.
Okay.
Very specific, it
So
gets
the
closed out, that's gone.
School library does not fall into that category.
Authorizations
Okay.
can only be used for what was authorized, sent to bond council, there is no,
Okay,
it's very restricted.
understood. Just a random thought I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, it's a good thought, because a lot of people think, hey, I have this money, let me
Right.
do this, but that's why, we're here to make sure that doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
And I guess Beth, going forward, staff can help you weed out the maintenance projects,
Okay.
really make them true capital, so only capital projects come to the capital committee, that's something we could do
Yeah.
in-house.
And it was something that we just put on the bylaw.
Okay.
It was new. I don't even know if the bylaws from last year are finalized yet, to be honest. Were they finalized?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so then, yeah, that would be in place now.
Okay. Are we
Okay.
back to the
Did-
agenda item tonight? Or-
Yeah.
Did you wanna hear from John?
Yep,
Yeah,
he's up
please.
townwide.
He's easy.
You're next.
He is the agenda.
Townwide ec.
Yeah,
That's my bad.
you're the act.
I'm the
Sorry, I
acting.
forgot the T. I forgot the T for
You're supposed to
tech.
lose our R's, we don't lose our T's.
Oh, man.
You're going fast.
I'm sure I did this at like 6 a.m.
So currently, right now, as far as technology upgrades, we need 2 servers for the fire department, 5 servers for the police department, 2 servers for the town. We need a new firewall, which will replace
Next page.
3
I'm sorry.
servers.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
you,
We didn't know it was on
sorry.
On the
here.
last
Okay.
page
I'm
of
a
your
visual
packet,
person.
on the
Okay,
last
that's
page
fine.
of your packet, you're gonna see the technology capital projects showing what John's gonna go over.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you,
Okay.
John.
You want me to start over? No. We need a new firewall, which is gonna help replace 3 firewalls at the fire department, 2 firewalls at the police department. It's gonna add a new firewall for the town. Currently, we're running, all of our firewalls currently right now run through the school. And the town, as far as that, it'll also include EMS, COA, and the library eventually. We also need 65 desktops to replace at the police station and 3 desktops to replace at COA. I currently do not have any needs for the library yet, just mainly the fact that we haven't, they're still doing everything through sales over there, and we're just kind of working through some stuff. So with that said, so that total cost comes to $294,000. With the current funds the current funds now, with all of the, the funds from 2018, 23, and 24, as well as 25, that comes to $215,000 in change. I've asked for 26, I've asked for another $46,000, which will bring that up, and that'll give us a deficit, still negative, of $32,000. I did apply for a grant,
Okay.
for a competitive grant to help fund the firewall.
Okay. I vaguely remember last year, I thought the funds that we were asking for was also for a firewall, but was that a different firewall?
Not for me.
It wasn't for me. I
It
could've
wasn't for
sworn-
me.
I remember that too.
I remember we
It's-
were gonna get a
The
firewall.
schools replaced their firewall.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I just remember, I don't
Yeah,
remember,
no,
I don't know
yeah,
where it
no,
was,
no,
I
it
just
was the, it
remembered
was
there was a
the,
firewall.
it was the schools had replaced their
Okay.
firewall.
Okay.
So with that that's what I have. The reason why all of this stuff needs to be replaced is either at or nearing its end of life.
But working.
Yeah, but that's not the case. When you have something that's at the end, nearing or at the end of the life. I mean, I've got a server over at the fire station that's well past its end of life. It needs to be replaced.
You mentioned a number of laptops for the police. How many?
Desktops and laptops for the police department,
Yeah.
65.
So don't we have like 20 police officers, and if they each got 2, that's 40. How are we getting 65 over there?
That's just the count that I have for devices that they have.
Is that like home devices too?
No, that's between
the
the
offices and the
cruises
different
and all the
Means something
offices
in-
and all the various different
Oh, in the
places.
cruisers?
Yeah, the
Yep,
cruises.
the cruises all have laptops in them.
Okay.
Then there's multiple
So this is
desktops
desktops and laptops.
for
Okay.
each dispatch station.
Yep.
There's not just one computer that runs a dispatch station. It's many computers that run a dispatch station.
Okay.
So that's where and all of this stuff is coming to end of life. And you say, yeah, but they're still running, but end of life opens us up for vulnerabilities. So just because the computer runs, if the manufacturer, like Intel in your CPU, in the computer itself, if the manufacturer says it's end of life, they're not providing any security updates. So if there's a flaw or a vulnerability in that opens us up to be hacked. Just plain and simple, it just opens it up to be hacked. Same thing with the operating system. So these servers are in both scenarios. The CPUs are end of life, and the operating systems are end of life. So it's not like I can say, okay, well, the computer's in good shape and it's still working. Let me just change the operating system. I can't, because it's end of life. Everything is end of life, and that's a big thing that we have to stay on top of. Is keeping everything current.
Yeah.
Because of the way the security and the viruses and the hackers are, so aggressively attacking everything, we need to minimize our footprint as best as we can. Because I will tell you that it's not, as far as like security and, being hacked, it's not, oh, well, no, we're never gonna get it. Eventually, we will. It's not if, it's when. It's gonna happen. It will happen. Because somebody will click something or somebody will do that. And the idea is to minimize that to a small incident instead of a town-wide incident, or be a Lowell, where they're still 2 years into a ransomware attack and they're still not 100% up and running yet. And that's what we have to try to minimize
Yeah.
all the way around.
But when it comes to laptops in general, servers are one thing. Yeah, replacing all the servers can be done. Get them replaced, you're good to go. Firewalls, don't know enough about them, but are you saying our firewalls are failing? That's why they need to be replaced? Or-
They're out of end of life. They're done.
How long do
But
they
the-
last?
It depends on the manufacturer and the software that's on it. But when they generally, the manufacturer themselves says, okay, we're no longer going to provide support for this. If they no longer provide support for their device, there's no new security being put onto that. So there's nothing being added to it. So if there's a flaw, every software has a flaw. There's vulnerabilities in every software. That's why Microsoft updates everything on Tuesdays. It's why every time you turn your computer on, it needs an update, because there's something that needs to be fixed or patched or repaired, because there's a hole. And a hole is something that can be exploited by these hackers to get into that device and and steal information or put a ransomware in there, or it varies across the board.
So-
It's
So a firewall's working, but it's end of life, which means it'll.
the firewall
they're
is
not up- they're not
the
upgrading.
firewall is our first line of
Yeah.
defense.
And they're not upgrading patches that they used to do for certain
Correct.
viruses that come out.
Correct.
So anything new, they're not upgrading, the virus can get through a firewall.
Correct.
Okay. But when you talk laptops, let's just say you said, hey, you wrote your blank check for the 200, whatever it is. You really would want to go out and buy all new laptops in 1 year, right? Don't you like to have those staggered so that maybe you're getting
I would.
30 every?
I would love
every
to
3
have
years,
it
so you
staggered. We're just
yeah.
not in that position at this point. I would love to, continue and stagger, and that's my plan, is just to start just replacing them. And, as time goes on, and say, okay, I'm gonna replace, 30 or 40 of them this year, and, or 20 of them this year, and 20 of them next year, and 20 of them that, and to keep them up to date and keep them, current.
Do you keep like a back reserve of laptops or computers somewhere in case someone breaks, you can come down and replace
I
it?
would like to, yes.
Okay, so we don't have that?
don't have that,
Okay.
no.
I wasn't sure, if someone says, hey, my computer just went,
Yeah.
are they out for
It
a
is,
few
it
weeks
is,
till one
it
comes
is,
in?
it is my plan to try to have something so that but currently right now I don't, and I'm in the process of rolling out all new laptops to everybody in the town hall. And that process is going pretty smooth,
And
knock
then-
on wood.
Is that like replacing the desktops? that
Yes,
currently
replacing
have?
everything, desktops, monitors,
I thought
everything.
I thought everyone in town hall had a laptop and a desktop.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore, okay.
Once we're done, everybody in town hall is gonna have a laptop with the docking station and no multiple devices, because every device costs the town more money.
Yeah.
Because you have to put security software, management software, and you have to keep adding that device in. Then there's office licensing for each device. So, we have to kind of rein that back. One device across the board, you need your laptop, you unplug it from the docking station, and you walk away.
And you started that project last year.
Yes.
But when you say you go and you plug in your docking station, they have their screen, it plugs in and the screen lights up with the regular sized keyboard.
Yep.
It's just sitting there as a.
Yeah.
Yep,
Almost
yep,
like
it just
a
sits,
desktop.
it sits just like this,
And you go to a
closed
meeting,
with a
you pull it
single
out,
plug, yep, you
you go to
just
a
pull
meeting,
one
you have
plug
it,
out,
and
go
you're
to your
on.
meeting, and you do what you want. If you have to go work on something, or you wanna work with somebody and you need to go and sit in one of the meeting rooms, you just take your laptop and go sit in the meeting room, do what you need to do.
I'm looking forward to that because I know that
That's what I
it's
have.
very challenging for me because I do a lot of work at home and I don't have access to get into our actual hard drive. So I have to go through the OneDrive and have to save it onto the OneDrive instead of being able to get into the network. So a
Yes,
lot of
that's-
times when
Yeah.
it crashes and I just can't do anything. I mean, I'm not trying to do a lot of work at home, but if I have to, it's a challenge.
I understand.
So I'm looking forward to the.
Maybe a silly question, but how can a desktop cost $3,000? You have 3 units, 2008.
I don't know, if you can answer that question, let me know, but that's what they're running right now. For a laptop and 2 monitors is approximately $3,000.
So everybody gets 2
Okay,
monitors.
so I guess that's what
2
I'm missing.
monitors,
So
yeah.
I'm looking at, so I guess, so people are getting a laptop and 2 monitors?
Yes.
So why do
The
they?
2 monitors, so multiple monitors increases efficiency and cuts down on this paper. So currently, right now, everybody prints paper because they want, I need to look at this and do something on the computer. In multiple monitors, you can look at what you want and enter what you need to enter over here.
And the monitors they have are not compatible with the laptops?
They are not.
Okay.
If you want to see some of this stuff, you can go down to planning. They're completely updated. Or
I would get it.
EOC was updated today, or has been updated this past week. So they have their new systems as well as veterans has been updated and EMS has been updated.
I get it, because at work I have 2 monitors and I wish I
Yeah.
had 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
When you're cutting and pasting, I'll tell you, it's very nice when you
It
have the
is.
document you're
Having
cutting
it,
from and
I
the
have
document
a
you're pasting into, and you just.
Yeah, you can just
transfer it
write
over.
next. Yeah.
yeah, it is
It's
much
really easy.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot
However,
more efficient.
I remember when we were getting them, I was like, I'm gonna save $1,400 a month in paper, and I thought it was gonna be a huge savings. I haven't saved anything, they still print paper. So,
My desk is covered, I got 2
Don't
monitors,
cut
I got a
that
couple
Yeah,
of
me
papers.
too. I am terrible for it.
I am against paper.
But just based on
You
what
can't
John's-
you can't force somebody to you can't say, okay, hey, let's stop using paper if you don't give them the tools to at least attempt to stop all the paper. There's a lot of paper that goes around this building.
So I'd tell you, just based on what John's saying, I would recommend that the committee does not close out the 2000, I'm sorry, the 2018 to 2023 articles and allow him to bring on this equipment that the town needs. I would say close out all the other articles. I'm a big fan of it. Karen and I have talked about this, John and I have talked about this. But for this IT, and particularly the departments that are in need of these things, I recommend leaving them open and give them the ability to spend that money. And, we can watch them, we can track them, we can have monthly meetings with them to make sure it happens. I understand that frustration too, but for those 2, I definitely recommend that the committee does not close them out.
And I just want to add, I agree with that, because on a budgeting side, if we were to close them out and put them in, into the free cash article for FY27, he cannot spend or do anything until after July 1st. So if you're looking and you're dealing with contractors and you have to get bids in or anything, if that money's not available, he wouldn't be able to move forward with anything.
Yeah.
Prices change or anything, that's gonna set us behind, more than like 8 months.
And I would say the same for the ceiling tiles.
John, they were thinking you were gonna go next.
All right.
Want me to go next and then you?
Well,
I don't know, maybe that's up to them.
tell them 2 minutes, 2 minutes,
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry,
And you
you
can go
No,
to
it's all right.
hot commodity tonight.
Yeah.
I'm in one.
So I guess I hear you, my last question would be, again, these things are urgent, but I'm just looking at, nothing's been spent on the 24 technology budget for 33,300. Why didn't we, buy a,
You mean on the 25 budget?
This is the 25
That's
budget.
because I used, currently right now, I've included that money into here. And it is scheduled to be, some of this is scheduled to be spent before the end of the fiscal year.
No, I'm just getting, when you said that, hey, fire department's dying here, we gotta get them these servers, I'm just surprised they don't have them already. Because of the need.
Yes.
I think the service, the cost is $100,000.
Well, I'm just looking at fire department service, $20,000, 2 for $20,000.
Do you have to buy
Right,
all 5 or however 9 at the same time?
Well,
or-
so to answer your question, John, I'm one person and I need to finish rolling out these laptops and stuff first because I can't, if I stop that and I order these servers and I get the servers, I go to the fire station and I can't multiply myself. I
Well,
don't,
you
I
got
don't
a-
have the
you got a good
time to
point.
do it at this moment, but as soon as I'm done with the rolling out all of the desktops and, or the new laptops, then once that's complete, and then I can move on to the next project. I can't take on multiple projects at once. So like the fire department is a server project, the police department is a server project, the town is another server project, and then, the desktops, that would be a project as well.
Which is a good point, because if you had the $213,000 in your pocket, you're one man, you couldn't get these things
Exactly.
done within a year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can I just ask, what brand are you trying to buy for the computers?
Whoever gives us the best price, but I'm
Okay.
leaning towards Dell.
Dell.
Dell
okay.
has completely smoked the price of all of their competitors, which is why we have Dell equipment. So I originally quoted that stuff out, the Dell stuff as I worked with them, and every time I talked to them, they would come down even lower and lower and lower in price. And that's how we ended up with the $85,000, which did 2 monitors and all laptops for everybody in this building,
Okay.
as well as EMS.
Got it. I know you're wanted someplace else.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
No problem.
It's about the meeting minutes. You missed the beginning where we addressed it.
All right. I'm sorry, next, sorry,
All right.
whatever you want to do next.
Okay, so John, we have you next on our agenda, if that's okay. We have you on for,
Yep.
I'm sorry, Dave, I called you John.
that's okay.
I'm sorry, I'm all thrown off. We wanted to just talk a little bit about the Council on Aging, the paving.
Yep.
We went down and did a site visit on a Saturday. We walked around. So I think we were just wondering, was the quote that is in here, is that the right
Yes.
amount?
Yep, so
That's sort of what we were
actually,
looking at.
I have, under, but their contract is up this year, we have to go out to bid again for paving. Currently, PJ Keating does our roadway and asphalt paving. I brought them down and met with them. Their price was $178,575.
Okay.
So I put in the 200, now that is going to go up, hopefully we'll still be within the $200,000. But what that would pay would be from the road, going in, the existing parking lot at the COA.
Okay.
It would be behind the COA up to where the dumpster is, which right now is just processed gravel.
Okay,
We actually widened that for them for that last year, widened that roadway for them. It would come out, continue down, it would tie into the new parking lot for the pickleball court. It would tie into the walkways. As it goes down towards the beach, it widens, so there will be parallel parking
okay,
along the property of 44 Lakeview Street, which is a conservation project. And then it would include the whole beach area, which a lot of that is, we've actually lost. The blacktop is just disintegrated.
yeah, we went down and, you're right, it was in pretty rough shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have a concept plan. Did I not forward it to you guys?
Oh.
We've had it for a while.
And
I'd like to see that.
What
we,
it-
we were at the meeting when they were discussing
Oh,
it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
were
You and Pat didn't make it.
I don't think
out
I'm,
of town or something.
Well,
I was
let
at
me
a
send
work
it to you
meeting.
then.
What
Yeah.
it will
Yeah.
not do, there was actually, as Glenn was saying, there was, because there's multiple parties involved down there. You have the Council on Aging, I'm involved as a resource to help do work. You have conservation, you have now recreation with pickleball. Conservation wants to add in, I believe it's 10 or 12 parking spots. When you pull in off the roadway, to the left-hand side
Yeah.
going towards that house, but that's conservation, so it cannot be asphalt.
okay,
So I've said we do have reclaimed road buildings they can use.
Okay.
So they'll use that.
Okay.
And that's separate from this. I just wanted to let you know that's.
okay,
This paving is not included, that paving is not included in this cost because it can't be because it's on conservation.
okay.
Yeah.
My question is, how is that gonna be maintained when it, like, people it's gonna be dirty because there's people gonna be there. Like, are we gonna have people coming in and cleaning it, or
The parking area,
just that whole area itself?
so so part of my department, we pick up trash, twice a week. So we do the beach areas, they pick up trash down there. I think right now it's dirty, especially down near the beach area, just because it's really not much asphalt anymore. It's a lot of dirt. We do have a street sweeper, so if the parking lot does get dirty, we can sweep it. It'll be lined, so right now it's kind of a free-for-all as well, and there was concern from Recreation about parking.
Yeah.
So we have worked also, Fuss and O'Neill, who's worked on that project, has designated, they'll be marked out parking areas, because they gave us some options for the committee to look at.
There's
Dave,
gonna
if
be-
you actually had pavement, you would restripe it every
Yeah.
couple of years, every 3-4 years,
Yes.
something, whatever,
Yep.
whatever it needed.
Yep.
And then you'd sweep it if they were actually
Mhm.
paved. I mean, you might disintegrate the pavement right now if you just swept it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then you'd have also standard maintenance, right? So, I
Mhm.
don't know, 10 years, you'd be doing crack sealing, 15,
Yep.
20 years, something like that, wherever it
Yep.
is, So there'd be standard maintenance that you
Yep.
do for the roadways, right?
Mhm.
I'm just wondering if someone might need to be, just to consider that you may have to hire somebody or like increase hours or something for the amount of people that are gonna be over there
Mhm.
and how dirty and how messy it can get.
Right, and
I'm just saying, putting it out there, just to be aware.
yeah, so we do beach runs twice a week now, trash runs, which include like the ball fields out here, Purchase Street. They pick up all those, they do, on Silver Street, that beach area.
Yeah.
So maybe down there with pickleball, it might have to be increased. But we'll keep an eye on that once pickleball opens. And the target for, sorry.
Oh, we gotta get
The
finished.
target for pickleball is to be completed by, I actually spoke with the contractor today, the project manager. As soon as the asphalt plant's open, they have the base coat down. They've actually been ordering a lot of equipment now, so it's ready. So they're gonna put a top coat down, and they wanna be done by, the target is April 15th. Because after April 15th, I have to re-implement the turtle protection plan.
All right.
So they wanna be done by then.
Yes.
I thought we made a request from the state to fund this.
We did,
Any
so
feedback?
there is a request to the state senator, Kelly Dooner, to repave this, put in $200,000 in the state budget. But we'll see if it survives. I treat it like a grant, so, so put it in the capital plan, fund it through the capital plan. If it comes in, if the money comes in, again, treat it like a grant, so we don't spend the town funds, we spend, that money first. That's how I view it.
So we can do that. That was my
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
If
that's-
you get it in
that's-
from the grant and you spend it, you can't spend the money on something else. You gotta spend it on, in theory, paving. So you wouldn't spend it and let it roll into next year.
Correct, let it roll.
Send it back to cash
Yeah,
flows.
let it go back as free cash. But I treat it, treat it like, there's no guarantee that the budget's
I
gonna go
know.
through the budget, so.
This might not be the year.
Yeah, you never know, especially, freshmen senator, if I were, there now, in Rochester, we had Mike Rodriguez, I think he's like number 4 in the state. I had a little more confidence when he told me something was gonna happen, it could happen, because he is an experienced guy. But, we'll see, hopefully it does
Never
happen.
know.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Right. Anything else on that?
Nope, that was it for the
Okay.
parking.
And then the other thing was the energy efficiency program, but.
So like I said, once I get the numbers from Rise Engineering to close out the middle high school, at that point, we're at the end of our kind of target years with, I think we're pretty much done, and close out our energy efficiency projects. We can always look further, but for the meat and potatoes of it.
So when you say we close it out, we're closing it out so we're in line with the Green Communities Act?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And then if you were to look at a building you did completely, I'm just trying to manage my expectations, and that is, you wouldn't necessarily look at the utility bill from before you upgraded it and see it cost $100,000 a year. And then look at the utility bill now that you completed it, now it cost $80,000 a year. You
Yeah.
probably wouldn't see it because, as everybody's seen with our utility bills,
Yeah.
your
No.
kilowatt hours might be
Yeah.
coming down,
Yeah.
but your
Right.
rates are going down.
Delivery,
So
yeah.
next thing you know,
Transmission rates are going up,
now you
yeah.
spend before, now you spend 120.
Yeah.
Hey, the savings, you might have been spending 150 if you didn't get the.
Yeah.
get the
When this started back, before they started work, so the study was probably done 6-7 years ago, they gave us a cherry sheet of everything, and right away I went after all the low-hanging fruit. And that's really LED lighting. This building was done as part of that. Your return on investment on lighting is 5 to 7 years. Some things go out 30 years. It's like, really? But I think we've made great strides in that. Yep. And one other thing I'll bring up,
Yeah.
unless you have any other questions about that. So
Anyone?
once I get those numbers,
Okay.
if what I have to finish lighting at the middle high school is under 100,000, I still have 100,000 from FY25. That'd be great. I can say FY26. We
You don't
can
need
pull
to
that
close it.
100,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it pull the $100,000, or do you have another area of town that you're gonna go back and start?
Well, let me
Or does
throw
that have
this.
to wait for a grant process?
No, it doesn't. Wouldn't have to wait. I could apply it anywhere. One thing that I have a meeting with Glenn on Friday. I was going to bring this up to him. I was made aware last week. I was contacted by a vendor, Gas Boy. Okay, so for our gas pumps out here, technology, end of life cycle. Okay, I was put in 2012. It's 13 years old. He reached out to me because he said they're seeing a number of these units fail. Gas Boy is no longer supporting that technology. So right now, the way it works, every town vehicle, schools included, we probably have close to over 200 fobs out there between gas cans and different things. Every vehicle, everything that uses gas has a fob. You go out there, swipe your fob, and then each person has a pen, okay? So that's kind of dual authentication. If that fails, we're down. He said you're probably 8 weeks out. That would be a hardship on the town. We need that.
The school buses too?
School buses, everything. Police, fire,
Wow,
everything.
8 weeks.
8 weeks for a replacement. So he said, I'm trying to help you and be proactive, because if it fails, you're kind of dead in the water. So they came out, they looked at it, they gave me a proposal. It's about $25,000 to replace it right now. That also comes with, I involved Glenn because it doesn't, John, rather, sorry. It involves technology. There is a monthly fee that we don't pay now for cloud storage for all the information. I believe it was $179 a month.
But if something did happen and it ended tomorrow, they'll just get gas from gas stations?
Well, we'd have to have a discussion how we're gonna run that. The pumps would still work. We could bypass it.
Yep.
Now, what do? We could probably easily set up a camera out there. We have camera coverage now, but I think
Yeah.
it's not great. I think if we had to go to an honor system and rely on people to write down mileage, name, date, time.
Well, it wouldn't be a preferred process, but if, before the funding was done, something happened.
Yeah.
And we had
Yeah.
emergency funding, get it fixed, it's down for 8 weeks, it's a process.
Worst case scenario, we've had issues with the pumps before. People have gone down to Eagle.
Yeah.
We have an open account there. They write a slip. The problem is an ambulance goes on a run and they come back at 1 a.m. They need gas. Eagle's not open at 1 a.m. Fire department, after a call, they were always refueling their trucks. So Eagle's 7 to 5. So we do need 24
Is there a
hour.
discount per gallon that savings that we have using the gas boy, like do we pay?
Yeah, we buy off the state bid list, the gas, so when we buy at Eagle, we're paying consumer price. And that's another thing, in my capital projected out, it's a ways out, but we're gonna have to, I'll be long gone, as probably most of us may be, but those tanks will need upgraded down the road.
Yep.
But right now, I think we should, then I just brought it up while we were here, but I was gonna bring it up to Glenn on Friday.
Yeah.
It's not in my FY26 because it was just brought to my attention, and I just got the number.
Okay.
Interesting.
Thank you for getting that number so quickly.
How much was the amount?
About $25,000, and then there was $179 monthly.
Do we need to include that 25 in the FY26 capital request?
That's what I wanted to reach out to Glenn about, if I'd
His
like
thought
that.
process is he might not need the whole 100 that he's got in there for energy efficiency for
Right.
26,
Right.
and to replace it with.
So we could change the projects.
Yeah.
or if we put 50 for the energy and 50 and 25 or whatever you want to
Yeah.
do, but we probably want to get that in there just in case.
I'll wait till I see the numbers to close out the middle high school, and then we can have a discussion.
Well, we're on time crunch though.
Yeah, we are,
You
in
know. Are you a days away or months?
No,
away?
I mean, I don't have a problem with the system right now.
No. To get your numbers to know what's going
Oh,
on.
he said he'd have them within a week.
Okay,
When he-
yeah.
we might not have a week.
Okay, all right.
That's what I was
We're
gonna
just-
ask, when do we need to vote on this?
Well,
Well,
Wasn't it
well,
this week?
yeah, it's supposed to be, well, we're meeting on the 4th. We're gonna talk about having
Yeah.
to get it all done on Wednesday, a joint meeting between Capital, Finance, Board of Selectmen.
that's
Yeah.
So we're
Just-
waiting on DOR to certify free cash. We're waiting on, they're working diligently on that. They had a couple of requests, they had a couple of questions on the balance sheet that was submitted last Friday. When I talked to Jared Curtis, he's our representative, he was gonna try to get the number by Friday. Whereas it really depends on when they certify free cash, and then we have that number.
Yeah, but that can't stop us. So
I know.
we'll have to make our decisions.
Yeah, yes.
And then make
Yeah.
changes.
No, absolutely, yeah,
Before
absolutely.
town meeting.
But we can at least have a placeholder.
I think it'd be safe to, because I still have the 100,000 from FY25 I get to work with for the middle high school. So if we wanted to split, or say 30 for the gas boy for FY26
And 70.
70.
Or
Yeah.
if you
I prefer to do that.
Yeah.
if you're tight for money and you got to take off that 70, take off that 70.
Yeah.
But if I could get a 30 placeholder in there for the gas boy,
Okay.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and I
I'll
can fill out a
update that.
form
Thank
and
you,
get that
Karen.
to you.
Okay, yeah, if you
Yeah,
could
let's
do
do
that,
that.
that'd be
Yep.
perfect.
You know, folks, I think I'm gonna jump into the finance committee,
Okay.
they're going over the North Carver Water District budget,
Okay,
and I wanna sit in. on it.
Okay. I think we're just about done, aren't we?
Yeah, too.
I
Yeah,
think
hope
so.
you guys voting tonight?
no, we're not
No.
voting tonight.
You gonna have another meeting?
We have a meeting for next week.
Oh, you do, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
When's your
you.
meeting next week? I'm saying your meeting next week is gonna be on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's gonna be
before.
that one now.
So it's gonna be that meeting that we'll do, everybody will be all together when we vote.
Yes.
One big
I
happy
should just
family.
make
Yeah.
sure, hold on, what
You
date
said
is
it's Wednesday?
I'm just,
Sorry.
we need to meet on Wednesday, but I just wanna say which day we posted it last time.
Yeah, the deadline is March 8th, which is a Saturday, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
We have a
Monday.
meeting from Monday night already up. Do you wanna keep that and then also
Yes.
put the 4th on?
Because I
I
can't
think
do
we keep
Wednesday.
so we'll vote on the 4th,
Yeah, we have to vote on the 4th.
which is a
Alright,
Monday night.
so we're meeting Monday and Tuesday next week.
Monday's the
Third,
3rd.
if you don't want to.
Okay.
You're well and welcome, but if you were like,
Okay,
we're good to go to the North Carver Water District.
No, I don't want to.
Well, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Here.
So I'm gonna leave, we already have an agenda up and posted on the website for Monday the 3rd. I could put another one up tomorrow to do the joint meeting
I would do that.
Yes.
for the 4th.
So,
Yes.
oh, the 4th is Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, we have to meet in front of the select board, so.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do next week,
Yeah.
both nights. Okay.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
I know, we appreciate that you came and
Oh, yeah,
explained
no problem.
everything.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
You
You
too. Are any other committee comments or anything?
I have nothing.
Okay. Does anybody,
So we'd like
Anything.
to close, what's the words you,
anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Well, hold on, no. Do you have something first?
No, I think I'm all set if we're gonna meet on Monday, do our final votes, and then go to Tuesday, and just be done. That'll be, I guess that's a win.
Okay.
Yeah, because on Monday, I'd really like to discuss, because I remember we were talking, one, we don't know our number, but also I'd like to talk about, like, what are we willing to
I know.
not approve
Exactly.
versus, because let's say we get, 1 mil, well, we're not gonna meet it, so we need to decide
Yeah.
as a group what we're gonna vote for and what we're
Yeah.
not.
And the fire truck,
Yes,
are we gonna go for the bond for
Right.
that?
right, so I definitely think we need to meet before the select board on Tuesday.
Okay.
I agree.
So
And,
we already have that.
And I guess just talking out loud with regards to IT, I get that, but some of the things that, we definitely need to get caught up. But like, I'm forgetting the numbers now, let's just say, I think he had 250, I think he said it needed 290, whatever it
290.
was. I'm just saying
Somewhere
that
near,
that
yeah.
can't be done in a year. So shouldn't, I guess I'm thinking out loud that anything he needs to get something he can do in a year, whatever that number is
Okay.
something that we should look at. you know, because then he's got a year. You know, I don't wanna tell him you gotta put in 100 laptops, and only do 50,
Okay.
you know?
And what's more important, is the laptops more important or the servers more
Yeah.
important?
And he doesn't need two, right, currently you don't need two screens, you could buy the one screen.
Good.
I do my laptop and this one screen, those two screens are a lot, enough.
I mean, again, my IT knowledge is extremely limited, but I would think the server, the firewall, so you know your data's safe.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
whatever you're rolling out after that, you do it in stages. And,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
only what you can do.
As, well, he did say as the computers,
Yeah.
go, that's when he's gonna replace them, so
That's why he
maybe
wants it, yeah.
we give him half of the computers
Yeah.
for now and the other half next year.
Yeah.
Ideas.
I just think we need to get rid of, we've been saying it for like 3 years now,
It's-
to get
yeah,
rid of
it's
these
to go.
old balances.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I do like
Especially if
his
it's
plan.
not
I
for
thought that
capital.
was really thought out.
Yeah, no, I think it was great that he came and
Exactly.
Yep.
we got a lot more detail than we
That's
had
good
before.
information.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
I just want to make sure I say this one more time before we end. I know that the notes are not on the website. I didn't know before. That was what Bob Belbin's note was that it hasn't been updated, but we will make sure it gets updated
Yeah.
by the end of next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Would you like me to make a motion?
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
Okay, motion made and second. All those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
Thank you.